what was surprising was how many people reached out to us and wanted to give gifts or just like, hey, can we come help? What can we do? I mean, it was just, it was awesome. Like how many people came, and
My friends with Restoration Farm, Stuart and Ashley, are over here to the left. We corralled them up and got a few minutes of their time. Their booth has been covered up and they're busy, and people want to know all about what they do and all their information on foraging and all that great stuff that they teach and their homeschool classes and all that good stuff. But that's really not what we're here to talk about today, as great as that subject is. We're kind of here to talk a little bit about the homestead community and the way this community tends to rally in times of need. And I'll let y'all tell the story, but Stuart and Ashley recently went through some of the stuff that unfortunately has been plaguing Oklahoma this year. It's been a crazy apocalyptic year for Oklahoma, but anyway, but we'll let y'all kind of set the backstory of what happened, and we'll just go on into that. So
you want me to go soon? Okay. So back in January, we had a house fire, and as far as house fires go, it was super minimal. We were so blessed to have Stuart still at home and to catch it super fast, and then our local fire department came out there quickly and got it under control. So as far as that went, but we have 10 kids, and it totally upended our lives for a little while. We were in a hotel for a little bit, and then, only able to use parts of our house. And anyway, so it was kind of crazy. But what was surprising was how many people reached out to us and wanted to give gifts or just like, hey, can we come help? What can we do? I am in the Homestead Ladies groups locally, and those gals, they showed up the next day and were like, hey, here's tarps. Hey, here's this. They brought stuff over. Like, when's Stuart going to be there so I can bring that? Because I was taking care of the kids at the hotel. I mean, it was just, it was awesome. Like how many people came, and then other people are reaching out to Stuart for different things that he's in. Like, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I had somebody tell us, or tell me, they're like, sometimes you make it hard for people to help you.
I can relate to that.
Where it's like, you don't want to say if you need something or whatever, right. But like, people wanted to know just like, hey, what can we do? And there are people that sent money from churches or from wherever, and it's like, we didn't ask for that, but people are generous and people are helpful. And it's kind of a weird thing, none of us, lives to himself alone. None of us dies to himself alone. We are in a community. We are individuals, but we're in a community. Right. And so we do have a responsibility to each other, and the people, they are willing to help. They step up, as far as materials, labor, and there's still a number of people with offers on the table saying, hey, if you need help in the future, seriously, let me know. Right. And it's sometimes that's hard for us to hear or accept, but sometimes we all need help.
Right, and it is one of those things that it is, for me, I know in times where I've had it, is a lesson in humbleness a little bit,
Right.
But it's hard to accept, sometimes. I get it. I'm the worst at asking for help.
Yeah.
And, but, I've seen this, y'all's particular case as well. Of course, I know when it came across the Facebook and we seen it, it was like, oh my goodness, and of course it's always, and this, more so when you know somebody, like you've got a relationship with them, it hits you a different kind of way. But we have seen, I think, overall this last 12, and I say last year, this 12-month period of time, not calendar flipping, but a lot's happened in Oklahoma. Tornadoes and freezing snowstorm, ice storms, I don't know whose weather we got, but they can have it back. But anyway, and then even all the way to the bigger grand national scheme of the Carolinas and Florida and all those people with the hurricanes, but this overwhelmingness of the homestead community to not just help its own, but to help really anybody. And y'all have experienced that. So, what do you think it would have been like without that community going through all that?
Do you want to say something? So, we have been in situations like that where we traveled full time in an RV for 3 years. Right. And so if you are in between, like when we got to our campsites, when we're managing campgrounds, it's the same thing. We had a community there. Somebody's RV got totaled by a tree falling down, and it was like that. You rally around, right?
Right.
But when we were just traveling, if something happened, it was on us, and there was nothing else. And, who takes care of your kids? You have to figure out how to do all of that. You've got to get, like we didn't have 10 kids then, but we had kids then that we had to figure out, okay, how are we going to get them places? How are we going to take care of, it was all on us. Like right. And that was one of the big things why we decided, we either needed to travel where we were in a spot right. for longer, or we needed to settle down. And eventually we wanted our own land and we wanted to settle down. And it's super important, to have people that will rally around you and people that you can rally around. Like there are seasons for both parts. Like, right. We should be giving when we're able to give and receiving when we need to receive,
Right.
So.
And I'm not sure if you got anything. Okay. And that is so much true. I mean, there's no more feeling of alone than when you have a problem or a situation goes on and there's nobody to call. There's nobody. And I know for me, I spent a lot of years in the military. And I always had buddies. I mean, don't get me wrong, if I needed something, I knew people. But I learned how to do things by myself because I didn't have family close by. I didn't have that group of people. And now I've had to reverse that brain thinking because it's like I wouldn't ask for help for nobody because I had learned methods that I could do it on my own. And so it is that challenge. But, I watched, and Stuart, if you got something to add to that, I mean, by all means, anytime. But I know when I watched, y'all's situation, the tornadoes that hit Sulphur and all these little communities, and just how many people in this community loaded up tractors, loaded up trailers, took their week off from work or whatever, and brought their churches and stuff and went down to these communities and got in the dirt and got nasty without anybody asking them to, without anybody, just because people were in need. And
real fast. So this, the fires that just went through that devastated certain communities, like that's the same thing that you're talking about. One of our farm friends, the Plutes, Emma Plute, they have their rabbit hatchery or rabbit tree, and they lost basically everything. Yeah, they have a few animals, and it's devastating. Like, what do you do? But I was talking with Lorraine, and she's like, yeah, it's so cool to see, I mean, in spite of all of that, to see people rallying around. Tomorrow, somebody's doing a rabbit butchering, dispatching class up there to, like, for free to donate, people are supposed to give donations to raise money for them. Like, Homestead community, like, not everybody has money to give, but people are giving what they do have. Like, she's like, I'll show this butchering class, to help support them. I'll do this to support them, and so people use whatever skills that they have to support each other, which is pretty awesome. You want to say something about that?
Well, before I forget, also using what you have, the idea of bartering, and not necessarily, absolutely just helping people in need, of course, but also the power of bartering, where you have, like we do classes or a plant ID walk or whatever, and then somebody else has an abundance of one thing that they do for their business, but they may not have paid cash. I'm sorry, they may not have paid cash for our services because it wasn't in their budget or whatever. But they go, hey, we've got this and we need that, and we just barter. So it allows for transactions that wouldn't have happened otherwise.
Right. And I've seen that, historically. There used to be the old joke about, who had the most chickens and pigs. It was doctors, because that's what people could bring them to pay for the services.
Yes, that's funny.
So we're actually doing a plant walk for chickens here. So
for chickens,
yes, with somebody else here at the expo,
which is great. I mean, that is the essence of homesteading. That is the essence of the community that goes around. And so I'll ask, kind of tying it in. We're here at Okie Expo, so we'll tie it in. What is the value? What do you see as the value of these types of events, whether big or small, but these types of events, to that community building?
Oh, well, it's going to sound cheesy, but like on the way home, it was almost bringing me to tears, because I'm just like, this is so amazing. Like, that we have this opportunity in our community. Like, this, for us, it's 30 minutes away, but even, an hour away, to meet with all of these amazing speakers and vendors who have so much knowledge in their particular areas or, resources available to them, and that we can network and, build up the community, work together, find ways to barter, regardless of what happens, like in the big scheme of things, like our building up our local economies and our communities. It was pretty exciting because, as speakers, we got to go to a speaker dinner last night.
Okay.
And so we got to meet with the other speakers.
Right.
And it kind of blew me away just thinking about it, like how much knowledge is there and how, and you were talking about it on the way home, the difference that we make in the community and stuff too. Do you want to say anything about that? Or?
Well, just to be able to offer the skills and services that you have and realize that, you know more than somebody about some topic, whatever you do,
right.
And so you might think, I don't have a lot to offer, but there's somebody who wants to learn what you know how to do.
Right, and that is super important. And I told somebody earlier in the week, I have yet to go to any event, and here is no exception. But within the homestead community at large, so much of a willingness to teach, so much of a willingness to share, so much of a willingness to be open. There's no trade secret. There's no, this is how I do things and I ain't sharing. It's this willingness because they want to see everybody do well.
Right.
And that's unique, I promise. That is so unique to any other community group outside of a church. I mean, but
right.
that you find.
Right,
is that willingness.
Because we know that when the community does well, then we do well because we are a part of that community, right? So we want to build up other homesteaders so that, our whole area is better. Like the tree order that we do, I don't know if you guys are familiar, but we do a group tree order through Missouri Department of Conservation.
I think I've seen boxes stacked up.
Yeah, there were 14 boxes. We had 1,700 trees this year that we got through that. Last year was about 7,000, but it was shorter notice this year. Anyway, but that's another opportunity, like, to build up the community. Like, this is a small thing. We're getting trees and we're dividing them up. But that has a huge impact ecologically on our region to plant 1,700 trees or shrubs,
Right.
And, it does take a few days of my time, but that has a lasting impact, like, longer than I will be alive on some of those trees, So, like, just little things that, that doesn't take a lot of skill to organize a group or, thing like that. It's not like specialized like that, but just time. Yeah.
Okay. And that is so cool. I mean, like I said, again, that's things we only find, in this community and these events. I don't know how many things I've seen moving back and forth. People, somebody bringing elderberry plant, somebody bringing this to somebody, and it's all this, and I will even say, and y'all are out there as well, the online presence of being able to communicate online, away from all these places, but as well as the in-person meetups when we get those opportunities. I'm just, like I said, y'all's story, and just like I said, watching people, and I know others had it happen too. Like I said, all around the country, really, right now, but definitely here in the state of Oklahoma. But y'all's case in particular, where so many people, and I would say, was it unexpected?
Yeah.
A little bit.
Surprising, kind of shocking, right? And and I think that we take it for granted sometimes. We just don't think about it. These are people, until it's us. And so that opportunity to help people. Well, listen, tell us, we're going to wrap this up, but tell everybody, tell me where they can find you, what y'all's upcoming, what's going on for Restoration Farm coming up.
All right. Well, we've got our summer classes planned, and
those on our Facebook.
you can find those on the Facebook.
Restoration Farms.
Yep.
Yes, and you want to tell about the classes? I've got a couple math classes coming up. I've got a statistics intensive, and I also have math and nature. If you're interested in the mathematics, it's a lot of fun. So
he's a numbers guy.
What can I say?
Yeah.
So anyway, and you can tell about the others.
So we've got a life off-grid class this summer. We've got foraging, wild art, so we're making art from wild things, pigments and stuff. We're doing that at our table today even. So, and then we've got, I don't remember, herbalism classes too coming up. So, and we do plant identification walks for people in our community. So it's $150 for a 2-hour walk.
Or a
and
lot
you
of
can
chickens.
Bring,
But anyway.
yeah, or a lot of chickens, whatever you want to
Pig,
do.
you know.
Yeah, we're open. We love service swapping too. We're going to do a plant walk for somebody that does firearms training. So like
Hey, there you go.
we're totally open to that. And those walks, they can be more like classes kind of geared toward what you're interested in. And you can invite your friends. We get paid and you can figure out the rest for.
Right.
So.
Well, I'll tell you, I have been on a plant identification walk, and I didn't get to go with y'all's.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make you sick, and I'm going to make you jealous because it was with your. It was with
I know,
Bo
it was
Brown.
with Bo.
Yes. So I'm going to make you sick. But anyway,
Yeah.
and actually, that was before. Honestly, I've told you that was before I ever got into the homesteading community. Before I ever knew anything about it, I was in a total separate event, but he was there and he was doing it. And it sounded cool. And I've still got his book. It's
Yeah.
So
we've got his book over at the table.
and now I have met him again, at an expo. But so if you get a chance somewhere, or if you want something, you'd be amazed at what's in your own backyard. I mean, you really would. So it's worth, and regional type thing, what's in a particular area. So definitely worth pursuing. So listen, some of the stuff, the classes, if you're looking for stuff for yourself, your kids, reach out to Restoration Farms.
Yeah, we'd love to talk to you.
You're going to help support a homestead, which helps support a family, and thus helps support a community. And, that's what it's all about here. And that's what's all the homesteading movement to me is all about community. It's the whole thing. There's no isolation. It reduces the isolationism, feeling. So anyway, well, Ashley, Stuart, I appreciate you sharing with us kind of what y'all went through. Not all the details, but just how the community rallied around y'all and what that meant to y'all. So a giant thanks to the homestead community and their friends for rallying around and showing why this community is so unique. But anyway, we're going to wrap this up and get on out of here. So y'all remember what we do at the end of every show, right? Yes. Okay, so we're going to try this. Okay. All right, everybody, again, go to Restoration Farms. Do y'all have a .com?
Linktree.
No. Okay. Restoration Farms on Facebook. Okay.
Just keep it
Oh, prepare for the unexpected and keep it low.
All right.
Okay, gotcha.
You're ready.
Anyway, Restoration Farms on Facebook. Check them out. Go over there, give them a like, give them a subscribe, share it, check their stuff. Get into some of their classes if you're in the area, if you want to do stuff. And hey, like I said, they're open to barter. Don't let that intimidate you. But anyway, so all right, folks, we're going to wrap this one up. And as we do on the end of every show and every episode, we're going to take it out the classic way. Prepare for the unexpected and keep it local. All right.
Good job.